Hey everybody, Pastor Matt here. I'm so glad that we're able to be here on the Sunday morning, and so for us, we're very excited here at Arapahoe Road. Is that we're going to be observing the Lord's Supper this morning. This is something we do about every 2 months. I know there's some churches that do it on every fifth Sunday. In fact, that's what we did at my previous church. It was every fifth Sunday, along with Good Friday and Christmas Eve. Here, what we do is we do every 2 months, and then Good Friday, and then the Sunday morning right before Christmas to remind ourselves of why Christ came to begin with. But I just wanted to just get on here and ask you to pray for your pastors. And this is not a way for us to, well, sometimes when we ask for prayer, there is that little something in us that sounds very selfish. Au contraire, mon frere, this is not selfish. This is a recognition of our need. And pastors all over our state, all over our city, all over our country, all over our world are dealing with a number of different things. And I would even say, even pray for your pastor, even if it seems like that everything is together, pray for your pastors. And I've just jotted down a couple of things that I think would be good for you to pray for your pastor over. One is that he would have time in the Word during the week to prepare. There are a lot of demands on a pastor to marry folks, to funerals and counseling and leadership meetings and on it goes. There's a lot of things. But what the Apostle Paul told Timothy, pardon me, wow. What the Apostle Paul told Timothy was preach the word in season and out of season. So all of these things that pastors do, all of these meetings, whether it's counseling or marrying or funerals or any kind of leadership stuff, is an offshoot of the ministry of the word, not just on Sunday mornings, but Sunday morning is where everyone comes together to hear, and they need to hear a word from the Lord, not a word from the culture, not a word from your own insights or insights from somebody else. They need to hear Christ proclaimed boldly and unashamedly, and that takes time to prepare. Because God's word, His ways are higher than our ways, His thoughts are higher than our thoughts, and there needs to be time, set aside time to where you are before the Lord in prayer and ministry of the word. And so pray for your pastors that you give them time to prepare, and I think that will be a benefit to you in the long run. Pray for them that God would give them the words to say as they minister during the week. I know over and over there are times when people may come to my office or I may go somewhere else and I'm confronted with something that I may not have anticipated coming. Every time I say, God, give me the words, God, give me the words, God, give me the words. And He always does. Even if He doesn't give me words, sometimes He's saying, I just need you to listen to this right now. So pray for your pastors as they are ministering, that God would give them the right words to say. And we'll pray that for you as well, because you're going to be confronted with things that you may not anticipate. Let's ask God to prepare you and to give you the words to say as you need them. Pray for pastors because they're struggling with loneliness. They're struggling with loneliness. Yeah, when I say loneliness, I'm not. It's like not like a boohoo, nobody likes me type of loneliness. No, it's so many pastors who a normative sized church is about 75, and sometimes pastors need other pastors to come around them to encourage them. But sadly, in so many places, those other pastors may not be friends, they may be competitors. They're competing for this harvest field that they see that's around them in their community, and they sometimes they don't like to share. And so these pastors tend to get lonely. They may get lonely because they don't feel like anybody understands them. They don't feel like anybody gets them. There may be a rift in their families because it's difficult sometimes when churches and pastors may be going through a tough time. It's hard on the families as well. So many times, even as pastors are surrounded by a lot of different people, there are a number of things that are burdening them regarding the word and regarding reaching the lost and doing all of these things. And sometimes, whether real or perceived, they may feel like that they are absolutely by themselves. So pray that each of your pastors would have a friend that they can count on, that they can talk to, that they can lean on, whether it's another pastor, a friend in the church, or maybe someone on a denominational level, someone that they can trust, count on, whatever it may be. And I'm very thankful for people in my life that God has put to allow me to go through those things. Um, and also pray for the family of a pastor. Um, when a pastor is called into the ministry, the family comes along, and all of a sudden they become in a fishbowl, and some handle it better than others. But that's part of the ministry, and that's part of the understanding. I'll tell you something about my wife. When I noticed her when we were at Pleasureville Baptist Church, Pleasureville, Kentucky. I was minister of music there part time while I was going to seminary, and she was there, and she was in the choir, and I took a serious notice to her. And when I asked her out, and I'm thinking, well, I'll just ask her out for food. Well, it was a date, but I was telling myself, I'll just ask her out just for a meal. What could that hurt? And she responded to me, and she said, I don't feel called to be a minister's wife. And I'm like, I just want to take you out for food. No, I don't feel called to be. She took dating seriously, and she recognized that if she was going to marry me, and she knew that I was called to go into the pastoral ministry, that was a calling that she needed to have as well. Now, it may not always be the case with your pastor's understanding and the dynamic that's going on there, but I'm telling you, you got to pray for the families, because sometimes there are expectations that are put on families like that aren't put on anybody else. And just imagine if that was the case with you. So have an understanding of that, and then turn around and give that understanding to other people. Now, for those of you that may be at my church, is this a shot over the bow? Absolutely not. You all have been very good to us, and that's why we have been here for 10 years. You all have been very good to us in that regard. But I just know from talking to pastors around that not everybody feels that way, and not everybody has that blessing. And so make sure that you're praying for your pastors in these ways. And there's lots of other ways, but I know we've got worship services coming up, and I want to make sure that I'm prepared on that last little ditch effort to make sure that I can remember each of these things, so that I can communicate well and communicate clearly, but also be praying that those who are listening will receive it as well. Hey, you know what? How you can pray for your pastors too? Pray for him while he preaches, even in the middle. Sometimes people are verbal like that. Help him, Lord. Help him. Preach. Help him. Even if you don't verbalize that, pray that, because God hears it. Pray for your preacher. This is not for you. It's not a spectator sport. We're all actively engaged in what God's called us to do in hearing the word. Okay? So yeah, time to prepare. Right words to say during the week. Pray for his loneliness and that God would give him a friend. And pray for his family as well. There's more, but that's all for today. All right. Take care, everybody. Thank you.